Include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
The gremlins have been attacking us this morning, but we're here and we're ready to find some animals. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, everybody. Better late than never, I suppose. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And of course, we're very sorry about all the gremlins that we've had, but we're here, like I said. Now remember, this is a live and interactive safari. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with any of your questions. Now don't worry though, you haven't missed out on too much, because Tristan and I have basically driven the entire section of Djuma, searching for all sorts of animals. There were lots of lions calling last night, but no lions on the property that we found. I've only seen one set of male lion tracks, and then they completely vanish. So no, like that. Lots of leopard tracks though, lots of soaring last night. So Tristan and Herbie are on the hunt for spotted cats. We'll probably head down into that area and see if we just can't get them a helping hand too. Maybe a third vehicle will be much appreciated. But for now, I think we're going to drive some of the roads that haven't been driven just yet. There's a couple that we've skipped, and hopefully we'll manage to pick up on something. But what a quiet morning it's been. I can literally tell you, I think I've seen about 20 impala and some birds. That's literally been it. Everything is hiding away. Right, now Tristan spotted our hyena a moment ago. Let's go across to him so he can officially say good morning and hopefully show you that beautiful animal.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our sunrise safari, a slightly delayed one. As Taylor mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Craig, and we have traffic already in front of us. So we've managed to find two hyenas very quickly at Treehouse Dam. It's the first sort of animals that we've actually seen this morning other than impalas. There's been a few impalas around, but otherwise we've just been following footprints of the spotted cats all morning. So it's been a crazy morning of kind of tracking around, and Herbie's trying to help me, and I think he's trying to call me on the radio now, so I'll try to get hold of him just now. Now, as with Herbie trying to get hold of us, you too can get hold of us on hashtag Safari Live if you would like to ask any questions. I'm not sure which two hyenas we've got. They're not really standing still. They keep going back and forth and going north and south. You can see there's one that's just disappearing through the thickets there. So I'm trying to work out who's who here and who we've actually got with us. But they're both quite big, bulky hyenas. The other one is actually just in front in the road, and I wonder if it's not going to turn and come back to where we are. But this hyena looks very alert. I wonder if they haven't spotted something. Let's just go forward first. And I would imagine these hyenas have come from a zebra carcass that was on Arethusa. Where are you going now, hyena? I'm torn as to which one I want to go see, because there's one in front of me and one that's just going through the drainage section up towards Weaver's Nest side. So I'm going to just try and see. I wanted to watch this one here because it was walking on the road, and it all of a sudden then just cut off the road and headed in that direction. So I was wanting just to see what was there. Maybe there was something it had spotted. There it goes. It's kind of just moving up and away from us. So I'm going to try and see if I can't find these hyenas and get a better view of them. And while we do that, let's go all the way to the Masai Mara and Scotty Dyson and see what bird he'd like to show all of us.
Hello everyone, and hello again to those who I already said hello to on a short Facebook Live about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Well done to the team in Djuma for getting everything up and running. And I hope Mike in Florida is watching, because during the Facebook Live he did ask for us to try find some new birds for him, and this could well be one of them. Now, they do occur in South Africa, quite widely spread, but not in the Sabi sands around Djuma. And it is called a black-shouldered kite. It's quite a small aerial raptor, and it's got the incredible ability to hover for long periods of time as it tries to locate its small prey before it plummets out the sky to grab onto it. Usually insects, small rodents, small reptiles. It's a very small bird, about, I'd say, 20 centimeters to 25 centimeters from top to tail. And I'm sure a little bit later, once it has warmed up and it becomes easier for the birds to ride the hot air thermals, it will start doing its hunting. And hopefully it won't take us too long to be able to show you them hovering. It's one of my favorite things to watch, and I find it absolutely incredible how they manage to negotiate with the winds, keeping their head dead still as it focuses on trying and find them prey. But for now, it's just preening itself, getting ready for a day ahead, and probably also enjoying the warm sunlight on it after a cold Masai Mara night. Very good. So, for those of you who have not met me, my name is Scott. I'm teamed up with Fergus on camera, and we've been having a wonderful morning exploring some new roads that I've yet to traverse in the Masai Mara. We're not too far from camp, probably about 4 or 5 kilometers as the crow flies off to our left. And what I love about some of these little 2 tracks is that they're not too busy at the moment. So if we were lucky enough to find some animals here, we would have the joy of having the sighting all to ourselves. Just like we are going to be able to enjoy this small family of topi, of which there looks to be 3 adults and 1 youngster. I just love the way they stand so proud. They remind me of an antelope called a blesbuck that you get in South Africa. They stand very proud and have got very good posture. And something interesting about these animals that I didn't know about, and I'm quite happy to share with you, is that yesterday I'm told that some of these animals actually did a crossing not too far from where I was snooping around, for those of you who were with us on yesterday's morning safari. And they, along with a herd of zebra, did a river crossing from the eastern side of the Mara Reserve onto this side of the Mara, the triangle. 4 of which got killed by lion in short succession, and 1 zebra got killed, I'm told, a huge stallion by some crocodiles. It took them 20 minutes to actually subdue that big stallion. And he interestingly put up a very big fight, I'm told, biting the crocodiles, trying his best to defend himself, but unfortunate. But the main points of that whole little story is that I didn't know that topis got involved in the river crossings. I've only ever seen footage of wildebeest, Thompson's gazelle, and zebra getting involved in that. Oh, morning. I love the way they can put 1 ear forward and 1 ear backward, listening to 2 different areas at once as he chews the cud. Nancy, you love the way they are just chilling out on this termite mound, and it's very typical behavior for these topi. They love being a little bit elevated, and rightfully so, surrounded by a sea of grass. These little termite mounds create an island of safety and a great vantage point to keep an eye on any possible predators that could be approaching. It's a very typical scene of the Masai Mara to just see 1 lone topi standing tall on a termite mound in a sea of grass, although here at least there's a family keeping one another company. Good, good. Now, what I'm thinking of trying to do is work our way back to an area where the Agama pride spends a lot of time, and see if we don't have any luck in getting some visuals of those cute little cubs. I personally haven't actually spent too much time with that pride, so looking forward to trying to remedy that and get to know them a little bit better. Jamie's kind of been focusing on them. Okay, well, I'm told Taylor did have a bird she wanted to show you, but it fluttered off. But she would still like you to jump on her vehicle. So off you go.
I did flutter off, unfortunately, Scott. It was a brown-hooded kingfisher, and they've all just started calling quite a bit again, which is quite nice to hear them. They always go so silent in the summer months when the woodland kingfisher takes over. Well, I suppose there's very few birds that can compete with a woodland kingfisher call. It is so loud. Now, I think we might have to do a bit of birding this morning, seeing as though the rest of the animals have decided to hide away from us. I'm just thinking if we should do a Mulwati cruise, or perhaps we need to go back around to the new road where Shadow likes to hang about and see if we can find some birds of the woodland. There's some calling up over here. I just want to see if I can spot any of them. Let's just quickly check the tops of these leadwoods as well. No, nothing fluttering in there. See, normally as you start to approach the drainage line, all the bird species typically increase. There's a robin calling. Let's see if we can spot it. You can actually listen to it. It's really pretty. There's the kingfisher. It just landed up on the dead tree. I don't want to talk too loudly. Right on the end, and there's a branch that's pointing down. That lowest branch up to the right.
Oh yeah, I think I've got it.
There we go. Yeah, you're on it. Yay, finally! Brown-hooded kingfisher, everyone. Not the prettiest of kingfisher species, but we have been chasing this thing now for the entire morning. I don't think it's the same one that we had a moment ago, but very nice that we were able to get it back on screen again. It's very, very difficult to put these birds on screen. They're quite sort of shy, more shy than what birds are out of the camera anyways. But very, very pretty with that blue on it. Obviously you can see the brown hood. And they typically live in the thicket area, so you can see them fishing, just as kingfishers do, but this fella is an insectivore predominantly, but I've also seen them eating tadpoles, small fish, and frogs. So I suppose it just depends on the time of the year and what seems to be more available. In summer, though, they're lucky. They have their pick. Oh, it's just dived down into the grass. Obviously, it must have seen something moving. Oh, there it is. Well spotted.
There's another birdie there.
That is the white-browed scrub robin that we can hear singing. You can watch it sing and listen. Isn't that a beautiful sound? Wonderful. Well, it seems as though we're all going to do a bit of birding today. We'll see what else we can muster up. Let's go back to Kenya. Scott is looking at a bird.
Well, fortunately, we're having a little bit more luck than Taylor had previously. Having said that, though, when a bird positions itself like this, it can be difficult to say who it is. However, this specific species of eagles have got very large heads, and they also sit with a very upright posture. So even though we can't see a lot of its characteristic features, the way it's perched at the moment, we can see it's got quite a bulbous head and a very good upright posture, which indicates to me that it is a snake eagle. Now that we can see its bright yellow eye, that's another key characteristic. And as their name suggests, they are snake hunting experts. It's not the only animal they eat, but you could say it's their preferred diet. With a lot of predators, they will have kind of favorite meals, but will often feed on other things. I'm sure these guys will feed on lizards and small rodents as well, but snakes do form the majority of their diets. And wouldn't it be an incredible thing to witness them snatching a snake off the ground and then having to deal with it after they've latched onto it? I mean, a snake, depending on its size, they're varying degrees of a long animal. So if they latch onto the middle of the snake's body, obviously the dangerous end, the head can still strike out at the bird. And they've actually, I can't remember who it was, but I remember seeing a fascinating clip from somewhere in the Sabi sands where there was a snake eagle attacking a black mamba. And then I think it was Tundi, one of the female leopards, came in and I don't know if she ended up eating the bird and the snake or what exactly happened, but that was a fascinating sighting. Had between 3 fascinating predators: snake, eagle, and leopard. And that is the joy of being out on safari. You get these strange things that happen from time to time, and these days with technology, the good thing is a lot of people get to capture it, as a lot of the things that do happen out here are almost not possible to be believed unless you actually see footage of it. And it's helping us to piece together the interesting dynamics that do occur out here. Now, like I said earlier with the black-shouldered kite, the birds are probably going to be waiting a little bit longer, another half an hour for things to heat up. Has noticed that bird has got a very short tail, and it does. It does appear to have quite a short tail. I'm wondering if this possibly isn't a juvenile. Its tail may become longer as it gets a bit older. No.
I do indeed. I was there to witness the back end of it. So it was basically, what happened was a snake eagle bit off a little bit more than it could chew, and it came down and it grabbed a big black mamba, and the black mamba then promptly came and bit it on the body, and it caused that little snake eagle to go into respiratory problems and almost get paralyzed. And the commotion of the black mamba and the snake eagle fighting then caused Thandi and Tamba to come and see what was going on. So Thandi and Tamba arrived, and then it was this whole big commotion between them and the snake eagle as they were fighting with one another. From there, you'll find that Black Mamba and Thandi had a bit of a go at one another, and eventually it worked out that Thandi and the Black Mamba kind of left each other alone. The Black Mamba slithered off. Thandi then walked off, and the poor snake eagle was just left there to die from envenomation by the Mamba. And I went back in the afternoon, and the snake eagle was still sitting there, just kind of paralyzed next to the road, but still alive. It wasn't a very pleasant experience at all, but by the following morning it was gone. So I'd imagine something like a hyena came in and was able to grab it. Now the reason why I'm in this area is because Herbie has told me that he had tracks for a male and female leopard heading this direction, but I don't see any tracks from last night here. So I wonder if maybe, just maybe, they're still behind us. He's following them on foot and trying to see if he can't find where they are. He's got the vehicle with him, so he's not going too far. He just kind of goes off for a little bit and just tries to see. And so he's giving us a hand, because these tracks have literally been everywhere. We had tracks via tele-access, power lines, the new road. We had them on Impala Plains. We've had tracks on Zoe's, Rebecca's. It's just tracks really everywhere. So it's now just about trying to figure out where they actually end up and which ones are the freshest ones. And so far I haven't been able to find very fresh ones down this side, which means that they could still be behind us. I just want to check at the junction in front of us, because there's a little junction with Pangolin Track and Weaver's Nest, and sometimes the leopards will cross through this area past the old hyena den and then pop out at this junction. So I just want to have a quick look here and see if there's any sign. But it's interesting with this weather. It's such unusual weather to have rain in sort of middle of July, but we had a bit of rain last night, and this cold sort of overcast weather often means that it's a little on the quiet front for some of the animals. Now if there's going to be a leopard track, it's going to be here. Let's just check quickly a little bit forward in case it came from the left. No, nothing that I can see that's very clear. Okay, let's go and check Twin Dams in case they cut over and I missed their tracks earlier. So this is kind of how you've got to do it. You've got to do process of elimination and try and see if you can't find the tracks sort of on different roads, and especially if somebody's already tracking them, it really helps when you've got somebody like Herbie around, because he's following and we can just check right in front of him and say, okay, the tracks are not coming out, which means then that he can use his legs and get off and try and find them somewhere in that area, because he'll know that they haven't crossed out anywhere to where we are. So that's why you have a situation where it works really well to work in tandem with one another. There's some very, very old lion tracks over there. What are these in front? So those are hyena tracks as well that we're looking at. They're also not very fresh. So David, with leopards, I've never sort of noticed them following other leopards for food. It's normally a case that when a leopard follows another leopard, it's either a cub with its mom, or a male that's trying to mate with a female, or even a female that's trying to find a mate. So I've seen females actively trailing males trying to mate with them. So it's normally the case. In terms of food, no. The only time you'll find it is if a leopard hears the other leopard killing, and then will go and investigate what's going on, or in a case like what we saw yesterday where Mvula came in and found Shangile on a carcass and would have then chased her off and stolen that carcass for himself. So that's the kind of only time you'll find leopards following each other. It's never really to follow just for the sake of finding food. That wouldn't really happen. They have a lot of other things to do. Most leopards have a territory that they need to go and mark off and need to go and make sure that there's no other leopards sneaking in, and so following another one around for a while doesn't really work for them. It's only if there's a reason, which would be mating. And also the likelihood of a leopard killing while you're following is very, very slim, because remember, the more cats there are, the more chance there is for prey to spot that cat and to be able to see them. And so you'll find that the leopards try and just stay on their own, and only will they join up if they can smell the carcass, or if they've heard the animal being killed, then they'll go that way. Nothing that I can see on twin dams either. Interesting. I think these leopards must be somewhere still behind me and still around Rebecca's area, because I can't see anything coming out this side, and so I might just have to do a little bit turn back and check what's going on. Unfortunately, our hyenas ran away and we couldn't keep up with them. They went into a thicket, so I'm going to try to see if maybe they weren't lurking because of these leopards. And while I do that, let's go to Taylor McCurdy, who's also apparently following some tracks.
We've now gone from looking for birds to looking for something much larger than a bird. We've had some very fresh elephant tracks around here, and I've also got some leopard tracks too. They were hyena tracks. These ones have now turned into male leopard tracks. Who is here? Who's been walking here? You can see them just, if I move, you might be able to spot them. They're going the other way though. Yeah, there they are. So those are male leopard tracks. I wonder who was walking here. I'm going to turn around and try and follow them. I'm actually going to go down Leadwood Road, because these tracks were not further down on Mamba. I've just come from the Mulwati and I didn't see any there. There are hyena tracks going up and down, and you know that hyena like to follow leopard around. All the predators around, in fact. So let's just go. Right, I've got to go into reverse to do that. Just go back a little bit. I'm trying to think now, if Tingana was in Hoffman's, it would be unusual for him to come sort of slightly back east and then come onto the property. Normally he'll go all the way west and then he does a loop around. But with all the calling that's been going on at the moment with the leopards, maybe he snuck back earlier to come and see what all the commotion is about and who's in his territory that shouldn't be in his territory. You never know, Mvula could just be stirring nonsense now, it wouldn't surprise me, and then he goes and he ducks and he runs away and goes back to Biffle's Hook. Their tracks are not here. We'll go down this next road, we'll go down this road right here, actually. Let's just go and quickly do a loop. It's not going to do us any harm. We'll just go and check around here anyway. Perhaps we'll go back up the Mulwati again. Maybe we could have missed some tracks. Oh, hi, Nyala Bulls. Try and sneak into the... Yeah, they're not always obliging. Are you going to be obliging? very obscured view of an Inyala, but maybe if it steps out to the left, it'll be better. And look at that, eating dead leaves off of a silver cluster leaf. So the elephants have broken this tree. It's now dropped down to a level in which the Inyala can feed on it, but I can't imagine that those leaves would be very tasty. I mean, there's plenty of other opportunities, other trees for the Inyala to feed on, and it's just so funny that it's chosen to feed on that. Now we know that a silver cluster leaf, which are these green leaves that you can see right here in front of us, they're unpalatable, they're terrible. You put them in their mouth, they're so bitter. Maybe the Inyala is self-medicating. Quite interesting. Because animals do self-medicate out here if they aren't feeling well. There's many different plants that have got medicinal values, not just to us as humans, but to the animals too. And I know that tannins often help dry out a runny tummy, and maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe he's slightly upset, maybe eaten something that shouldn't have eaten, and that's the case, and gone and started feeding on lots of tannins. Right, but it seems as though Scott has upped the game. I don't know what he's got, but he did say that it's better than antelope.
Well, as beautiful as the Maasai giraffe are, I must say I am missing the beauty of the Inyala. You do not get them this far up into East Africa. So, aren't we so lucky that we can bounce between two incredible wilderness destinations where you do get different species of animals occurring? Now, regarding my challenge with Tristan, I probably, in retrospect, wasn't thinking very clearly for two reasons. I have yet to see a leopard in the Mara, so I don't even know where to start looking. And more importantly, Tristan is a wizard when it comes to tracking down these animals. Having spent so much time in the Sabi sands, he has got to know the inner working of these beasts. However, there is a little lucky streak that I'm feeling, hence my bold statement, that of finding a leopard before him. Anyway, the game is now officially open, and due to the fact that I do have some urgency to try and find a leopard, we shall be leaving this herd of Maasai giraffe and continuing along the edge of this forest. There's one or two spots where we can actually pop into the Mara River. There's not too many access points, but there are a few. Susan and dear watcher, apologies for leaving the giraffe that you were enjoying the sighting of, but thank you for sending your feedback through. I am now, however, on a quest to try and find a leopard. Fear not though, we will stop and point out anything else interesting along the way. I will not be oblivious to all the other beauty that is out here. But we also do have some ground to cover. It's such a large area that keeping moving is something that's actually quite tricky to do, because there are so many animals around that you could literally park in one place and probably do a whole 3-hour safari from one spot. But we do need to travel in search of action, as opposed to just settling for the normal beautiful scenes. I guess a combination of the two is required. But again, and apologies, you'll have to bear with me that learning these roads is something that I'm trying to do at the same time as taking you on safari. We're both learning the roads, I guess, together. Linda, you agree that it was probably not the wisest choice to challenge Tristan as I have, and I agree with you. But it's too late now, we cannot go back. And I guess that is one of the joys of being on a live, unedited, unscripted safari. There's no turning back the clock. So now I have to deal with my silly challenge. But who knows, maybe it'll work out. Now, there's a nice big warthog over here, and I would like to show him to you. Oh, don't do that. Turn around and have a look one more time. The reason why I would like to show you is that it's quite interesting. You get two subspecies of warthog in Africa, at least that I know of. This is the common warthog, that occurs widely throughout sub-Saharan Africa. But further north in Kenya, you get a species called the desert warthog. And interestingly, the side wart that grows out of their face, the top one, so the males have got 2 on each side, the females will only have 1 on each side. Ah, perfect. Now, the 2 warts that you can see above the tusks, the higher warts, on the desert warthog, they actually point 90 degrees downwards to the ground, right at the terminal edge, so they don't go straight out horizontally like that. And another thing that's interesting is that their ear tips are inverted. So they're bent back just at the tips. So those are 2 major differences between the common warthog and the desert warthog, which you get probably 500 kilometers north of here. Their range starts, and then further north thereof. Another interesting hog that you get in Kenya is the giant forest hog. A beast of an animal, probably about 4 or 5 times the size of this big warthog that we're looking at now. But they like usually very thick forests, hence the name, forest hog, and generally higher altitude areas. I've been lucky enough to see them in the Aberdares National Park on a handful of occasions. And who knows, the way things are going with Safari Live, we are going to be exploring many, many more destinations with you as the years unfold. And aren't we so lucky to be able to be a part of this wonderful journey, exploring these incredible wilderness destinations and getting to know new species as we move along the way. Okay, well, you're going to be going back to Tristan, but fear not, he has not found a leopard, so I have not lost the challenge, but he has found another interesting small carnivore.
Well, not just yet, Scotty Dyson. We are coming for you, and we shall find the spotted cat. Challenge accepted. The thing is that Scott hasn't got any signs of a leopard, but we have tracks for 4 different individuals. So we're going to try and see if we can't find a leopard of our own. But while we're on our carnivore search, we found our smallest carnivore that we get out here, and probably one of the cutest, the Dwarf Mongoose. And you can see they're all jumping up now, and they're sitting right at the chimney of a termite mound, and they keep going in and out of there. And I'm sure they've come out now hoping that there would be a little bit of sun to maybe warm up. There's a bit of grooming going on, and this is all just to sort of see what's happening before they then go down into the grass and start finding food. How they groom one another, and it's always busy. Never seem to do anything slowly. It's always in fast forward mode with Dwarf Mongoose. They dart everywhere and run everywhere, and when they play and groom, it's all, like I say, quite sort of hyperactive. It's not a slow process that they go through when they move around. It's not like things like a tortoise, really. They do a lot different in the way that they move. And it almost feels like our leopards have taken the same caffeine doses our Dwarf Mongoose, because they've also been in fast forward mode this morning. They've walked everywhere, and poor Herbie is trying to work out what's going on. He just told me now that he has tracks for Shadow and Cub, Shongile and what looks like Tingana, all at the same junction on a road. So he's trying to work out who's who and where they all go and which way they separate. And well, like I say, there's tracks everywhere for them. But you're a very busy little thing, aren't you? And they're going to have a busy day because they're right on a main road, so they're just north of Gari Main, and that means that lots of cars are going to come past. So I'd imagine not too long that they'll be on top there, and then they'll start coming down into the grass. It's also getting much lighter than what it was earlier in the day, and so perfect for them to start moving around. So, Laura Moore, you say they make the grass look gigantic. They do, don't they? The grass looks massive in comparison to them, and it almost reminds me of that footage I've seen of that mouse that lives in the grass stalks and kind of climbs up them, and everything looks like gigantic over this over this mouse, and it's actually sort of knee high to a human. So it's quite funny just to see, and it's a bit of a trick of the mind for 2 reasons. One is because we are parked a little bit sort of lower than what they are, so that's already giving an impression that the grass is taller. And 2, the grass is growing off the mound itself, so the grass isn't actually that long. If we had to go stand there, you would find if we stood at the base of that termite mound, the grass would be almost our head high as well. So it's a little bit of a sort of trick of the lens that makes the grass look as big as it does. Now, I'm going to try and see if I can't find this leopard because, well, Scott Dyson is a fellow Scorpio. His birthday is the day before mine, and so we can't lose a challenge to a fellow Scorpio, so we're going to try and see if we can't find this leopard. While we do that, I believe Taylor McCurdy has gotten involved and has now found something spotted, but not of the carnivore type.
I'm just trying to catch up to Scott now because he raised my Nyala with a giraffe. So well, I'm playing the same hand as him now. And I think it's the same giraffe that we saw yesterday afternoon very briefly in the Mulwati, because we're not too far from the Mulwati in fact. But it is difficult to tell because he's hiding behind the trees. Now wouldn't it be great if Sebastian and I snuck in and we found a leopard first? That's our plan too. We might just join the boys on the challenge for spots. We're getting there slowly. These patches are slightly larger than the pattern we're looking for, but we'll take it for now. Now it isn't on Vuyatela on Djuma anymore. It is just across the road on Little Gowrie, and it is just feeding away at the moment. What are you feeding on actually? What is that? A guarri tree? I can't see. The leaves are so small from over here, and we're quite far away. But off it goes. We'll see if we can try and keep up with it and try and find some more spots. I think if we go there, we might get a little gap. Let's go a little slightly further forward. And we actually saw Tristan not too long ago. I saw him on the fire break, just to the west of Twin Dams.
Well, it seems like Taylor's going to try and join the challenge, but first she's going to have to bat off a few gremlins if she wants to get involved, because, well, even if she finds something, if she can't show us, it's going to be a bit of a problem. So I'm sure it's because she's down near the Mulawati, and when you're in the Mulawati, well, gremlins live there in massive numbers, and it becomes all quite familiar to be chasing them off. So we've checked now south of where Herbie is. There is no sign. Hang on, as I say that, what is this? I thought there was no sign, but I might be wrong. I see some sort of footprints here, and they look very leopard-like, that's for sure. Indeed they are. Right, so I don't know if you're going to be able to get these. Let me just try and move a little bit better, Craig. Hold on. So this is for one of the leopards, but it looks like a male. I want to just quickly go back and check the Gowrie main junction just to see if these are perhaps older tracks or if they're from last night. I haven't, in the time that I've been here, I actually haven't driven here. So Craig, the tracks are these ones over here, which I'll point out shortly. And we've been discussing tracks everywhere, and so probably the easiest one for you, Craig, and the clearest one is going to be this one over here. Now, it is a track for a male leopard. It looks like a young male, so I wouldn't say that this is Tingana's. The size of this track is not massive. If I put my hand next to it, you can see it's quite small. It kind of ends about that size, so it's about the size of my palm and quite narrow. So I would imagine for Hosana, Shongile's track would be much smaller than this, and Tingana's would be slightly bigger than what we see here. I would imagine that these tracks were also from probably yesterday. I know that Hosana was seen yesterday on Little Gowrie, so I'm pretty sure these were from yesterday's tracks. They are on top of a lot of the vehicle tracks, but I know that the only person that's been driving down in this area at the moment has been Taylor yesterday, and nobody else. There's been none of the other vehicles from Cheetah Plains or from Vuyatela that have driven down this way, and so that means that these tracks could be from then. Now, I've parked in a terrible place because I'm going to try and actually get up into Wendy, and it was quite a step up to get up there, but these tracks are heading south, and I suppose they do look quite fresh, don't they? They might actually be from last night. Let's just follow them and just see where they go, because they definitely didn't go towards Twin Dams, and we didn't see any sign of them crossing. So I wonder if they maybe just sneaked over somewhere here. I see he went this side and almost towards this bush. Let's have a look. Scott might be in trouble with this, because if we get fresh tracks, we're going to definitely do our very best to find them. And, well, like I say, we've got options here in terms of finding these animals. And talking about Scott, I believe he's got a predator that's not a leopard, but I bet he wishes it was.
So things have heated up while you've been away, or while I've been away rather, and I am certainly concerned that Taylor is part of this challenge, And I was thinking to myself quietly that if she does get involved, she is, like Tristan says, going to be the likely winner. Time will tell. We've been slinking around this beautiful little road that gets us in and amongst some of the riparian trees along the Mara River, which is home to these mammoth crocodiles. And they're just relaxing. This one's cooling off, hence it's having its mouth open. That's how they thermoregulate. And what I cannot wait is for us to get a little bit more involved in the crossing action. It's just a matter of time before the masses of wildebeest make their way further north into the triangle and into the Masai Mara Reserve. But for now they're kind of ebbing and flowing around the Tanzanian border. So these crocodiles are going to have to be patient. Beautiful. Because the vegetation's so thick along this river, it can be difficult to meander your way through it, and there's not too many roads that bring you right along the edge. So this is quite a unique spot in this section of the reserve. And I've only been here once before, but fell in love with it, and it is the most, I feel, likely spot to find a leopard. Lots of trees for them to hoist their kills up into. With such a high hyena density in this area, I'm sure all of the leopards have learned quite quickly to hoist their kills into trees, otherwise they will almost certainly lose them. It's kind of not so the case in the Sabi sands. You find some leopards do, some don't, some do some of the times and not others. So it's something interesting that I've always wondered about, how leopards will sometimes hoist a kill and sometimes won't. And I'm told a lot of you are in awe as to the size of these massive crocodiles, and so you should be, because they are monstrous. And in terms of all of my travels through Africa, this has been one of the best places to view crocodiles, or at least huge crocodiles. Oh, there's some very pretty butterflies, one that I've actually never seen before, fluttering off down there. It's always a bit of a challenge. This is like a cameraman's worst nightmare, although they seem to be being quite well behaved. Now, the one that's caught my attention is the one that he's zooming into now. Look at how, oh, that's what I mean about the cameraman's worst nightmare. But that one over there, it seems to be some kind of a swallowtail or a swordtail. Not sure which one. But a lot of beautiful butterflies in this area. And new ones that we will, as the days unfold, we will be able to get you some better views of them and also know exactly who they are. There we go. Well done. There you can see the swordtails or swallowtails that give it its name. And a pretty little purple flower from which it is gathering pollen. Now, Nancy, you're interested to know what the crocodiles we've just been looking at will eat in between the migration period. Oh, look at that one. That's absolutely, well, all of them are actually awesome. So a few different types of swordtails it appears to be. But if any of you know the exact species we're looking at, please do share with us. That would be wonderful to know. Sorry, Nancy, you're interested to know what the crocodiles will eat when they don't have all the wildebeest crashing through this river, providing them with easy meals. And it would be a very interesting study to do, because I'm fairly certain that during the months of the migration, they get to gorge themselves to a point that they probably won't need to feed until the migration arrives the following year. Of course, that doesn't mean to say that they're not going to take any other easy meals, other animals coming down to drink. That does happen throughout the year. Even yesterday we were watching some zebra just coming down to the river to drink. They weren't planning on crossing. So I think animals coming to drink as well as fish, and terrapins will provide a large portion of their diet. Crocodiles are known to lie in rapids with their mouth open, waiting for fish to come into their mouth, and then they just slam those jaws shut. So again, like I said, it would be an interesting study. An animal like a crocodile is quite a difficult one to research, not as easy as a leopard, for example, like Shongile or Mvula, who you get to know their territory, and you can kind of get to know them on a quite personal basis, and we're so fortunate with that. But with an animal like a crocodile, it's going to be tricky to work that out, unless I guess you put a radio transmitter on it to know where it was. But then to be with it all the time and know what it eats all the time with such a sly, mysterious beast would be tricky, certainly in the wild. But the main thing to take from that, Nancy, I guess, is that they can survive for months without food. They can go into states of estivation, where they'll go into, even if this river was to dry up, they would be able to find a small little cave and basically just switch themselves off until the river starts. Sorry, in the quest to find a leopard, I'm taking you into some low signal areas. I'm having to gamble here to compete with the incredible leopard viewing in the Sabi sands. And now it's 2 against 1. It's Taylor and Tristan against me, and so, and now it sounds like Tristan's hot on the trail of a leopard and he wants you to jump on board with him.
Well, Scott, I wish we were hot on a trail. Unfortunately, our trail has been cut off by Little Gari because it goes south into Little Gari, and so that's the end of those tracks. And they actually were a little fresher than I first thought. They from last night sometime, so unfortunately for us, Little Gari has stopped us from tracking that, but I think they definitely Hosanna's tracks that go that way. Now, Herbie, I've just bumped into Herbie as well, and he was telling me, whoopsie, we had a little binocular fail there that fell off. I was chatting to Herbie, and he was saying and that there's just tracks going up and down. Some of them are before the rain, some after the rain. There's tracks, like I said, for Shadow, Cub, Tingana, Shongile, all in that area. So we're going to just try and go back and check. He thinks that they're somewhere there, but with the way that the bush is in that area and the thickness of the grass, if they lie down, much like what we saw yesterday with Mvula and Shongile, when they lie down, it becomes very, very difficult to see them. And even Tandi, when she was at that carcass, she just disappeared in 2 minutes. So Kobe, who's 15 years old, hello Kobe, and you're asking, do we ever get frustrated when we can't find animals that we're tracking? Kobe, most definitely. It becomes a little tough on the brain and on the old frustration levels when you follow footprint after footprint after footprint after footprint, and you don't really always better to have that frustration than having the frustration of not seeing a single track anywhere and not finding a single animal. So at least when we've got a few tracks, we've got something to work with, and something that kind of inspires hope and makes us really kind of keep involved and keep looking, and so that's always a better sort of situation. But ooh, what are these? Hold on. Okay, so these are the tracks for Shadow and the Cub, and now I believe that Alice has just told me that Taylor has pulled something out of the hat, and if I heard correctly, you're all going to be very happy with what Taylor has found.
I've got a lion, a big male lion, and I'm trying to figure out who it is. I think it actually might be Tinyo, but I'm confused just because I've seen a patch on his shoulder, on his right shoulder, and I know that Tinyo had a bouts of mange and he's got a patch of skin that shows through his hair, but he's huge. But I also haven't seen the Birmingham for such a long time, but maybe you can help me. Maybe it's not, maybe it's a Matumba, but I don't actually know. I'm confused. I don't know. I know it is. It's Tinyo. Look at that. You see that patch that's missing on his shoulder? He has that. I don't know. Just go a little bit down. There we go. You see there? I just need to tell Herbie that I'm on his track. Okay, well, Herbie's now talking about these male lion tracks, and please tell Tristan, standby stations. Herbie, I've got this Madoda Ngala. He's moving on the 2-track from Treehouse Dam to where Tingana had that Honchi Bamba, going back towards Weaver's Nest. There's one following through the block. Okay, how exciting is this? So if you do know exactly which lion this is, just because I haven't seen the Birminghams for quite some time, you can hashtag Safari Live. So we're just going to drop the aerial slightly. Any word coming through, Alice?
Yeah.
Are we ready? Yeah. Lisa, you said that lions trump leopards, so I win. Yes! And Tristan, just because you said that I'll never let you hear the end of it, I'm now not going to let you ever hear the end of it too. But it was quite funny, the sighting, because we didn't have any signal. Oh, okay, so you're all agreeing with me in saying that this is Tinyo. I cannot believe how big he's got. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and find photos of when I first started working and I first came across the Birmingham boys, because he's easily doubled in size. I cannot believe how big he is. He's also got a big full belly too. I wonder if he wasn't the male lion that was feeding on the zebra carcass that I told you about in Hoffman's. I think it could be. And he's come from that way. Oh, Mongoose, run! Run! There's a lion here. Although I don't think he'll be interested in them. I'm just trying to get up in front of him again. Hold on, Seb. We'll beat him at his own game. Hopefully. Whee! Now, Natalie, it's great to hear from you again. You've said that you've never seen a male lion before. Well, here we are. And here he comes. This is so cool. I'm so impressed. And maybe you can help me out here. Maybe you can do a little collage for us of Tinyo as he's grown up, because he's really turned into a magnificent lion. Look at that dark mane. He has got beautiful battle scars all over. Sorry, I'm just jumping out of frame. We know that him and Mfumo are the ones that normally hang out together, and they often have altercations. So I think a lot of the scars that he's got on his body is just from the rest of the coalition. They normally have little boxing matches. Oh wow! Sunny Jane, you've also said that this is your first male lion sighting, and you have got tears in your eyes. Well, I hope they're tears of joy. How cool is this? My heart is pounding. Because I was trying to tell you, I was driving, we had gremlins attacking us. Alice was saying she had no picture for us and we couldn't work out why, so we rebooted. I'm driving very slowly on the dam wall, you know, thinking and hoping and just going, I need to beat the boys. I need to beat the boys at finding a leopard. And I was searching the hardest I've ever searched for a leopard in my entire life. And then I saw this lion, I looked at the Egyptian geese, I looked at the lion, and then I carried on driving and I hit the brakes and I went, hang on, there's a lion. Well, here we are. Now we're in that situation. I thought I'd actually completely imagined it. Now I'm going to try and jump ahead again.